social media, they've gained a lot of attention. They've been around for a while, but social media really put them on a platform. Some of you may know them as Hebrew Israelites. What the Hebrew Israelites have preached isn't something new, but it was new to social media. And so a lot of people that had never heard the message or had never focused on the message began to pay attention, more attention, closer attention. One thing that I am wholeheartedly in agreement with, and we're going to focus on that today. For some of you, maybe you've heard it before. For some, it may be eye-opening. But I believe, due to my study, I've come across some information that I believe is irrefutable, if not near irrefutable. And that is that the slaves, transatlantic slavery, those slaves are Israelites. And that if you're descendants of slaves, you're descendants of Israelites. Descendants of Hebrews. Now, at one point, I was aware of this. As I began to move forward and study, I did come to the conclusion that maybe some were. Wasn't quite sure about all. But now I hold a position that all were.
In this video, we're going to focus on what a prominent pastor says about the Hebrew Israelites. All praise to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And this video will be entitled Response. Pastor Fred Price Jr. agrees with the Hebrew Israelites. Alright, and you heard the short snippet in the beginning of the video. This pastor agrees with what we teach. Now, to give you a little background, Dr. Fred Price Jr., this is him right here. He has a church, a mega church. All right, let's look at it. Dynamic and divinely appointed Dr. Frederick Kenneth Price, the son of world-renowned teachers and ministers, the late apostle Frederick K.C. Price, and Dr. Betty R. Price is head pastor of Crenshaw Christian Center. A charismatic Bible scholar, Dr. Price leads the 8,000-member congregation, 8,000 members. Imagine that. Dr. Price leads the 8,000-member congregation with reverence and reliability as he seeks to teach generations of believers while also fulfilling the Great Commission of saving the lost. And we'll stop right there. You can go look at it in your own time. Now, make no mistake about it, this dude comes from the lineage of a false prophet. I mean, this dude right here, K.C. Price, for a lot of years, man, this dude was wacky. He passed away now in like the last 5 years or so, but he was a false prophet, okay? Make no mistake about that. You can see him here. And this dude had big pull, mega church. See, you can see him here with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Probably at the time was the governor of California. Right, you can see him here with his son. See, it's old back in the days. And K.C. Price was a false prophet, all right? I mean, he was a wacky false prophet at times. Now, this is when he got a little older. But yeah, he basically passed away. But that dude was teaching and preaching for a long time. And now his son, when he passed away, his son took over the church, of course. All right, and shit, I won't say I'm surprised, but it is a delight to hear. And I knew for some time that this dude agreed with what we taught. It just hadn't came to the forefront. Especially, you know, him being in a doggone mega church. Yeah, here's his dad right here with his damn jet. All right, the dude had a lot of money. They're getting a lot of money out there in California, man. Crenshaw, right? So at the end of the day, look at this. Pastor Fred steps into his new role. His son took over his church. So now he's teaching and acknowledging that we are the Hebrew Israelites now. I would like to probably check out the rest of that video to see what else he would say. But it doesn't matter. The main point is that we are the Israelites. Okay? And nobody can dispute that. Now the scriptures say in the last days, let's read it. This is Hosea 1 verse 10. It says, "Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God. And is that not happening now? Is that not happening now with all the uproar and hoopla over us being the Israelites, us teaching and preaching? I just got finished completing a lesson dealing with the vocab Malone, him going all the way to Europe to stalk other Israelites, other people that teach in camps. So this is from the NLT. It says, yet the time will come when Israel's people will be like the sands of the seashore, too many to count. Then at the place where they were told, you are not my people, it will be said, you are the children of the living God. And for the longest we have been told we were not the Most High's people, that we were Africans or any other thing. But it's coming to the forefront now that we are the sons and daughters of the living God. Now, I know many people will say, and as the Christians often do, and like I said, I'm surprised that a prominent Christian preacher would say it. But you know what? They have no other choice now. The truth is out. Now, this brother is a younger man. So, of course, he will probably gravitate towards him because he's a younger guy. But it shows. Christianity is through. People are tired of lies. You never understood the Bible. And obviously, this brother been watching us. He been watching the Hebrew Israelites. Where else you going to learn about the Hebrew Israelites unless you watch the Hebrew Israelites? You see? And he said he, studying or whatever. But these pastors, they're going to say they've been studying and researching. The main study and researching, you only doing that because you came across our videos. And then you went and researched it because you heard us say it. But now, this brother been saying it for some years, but now it's coming to the forefront. Now, I don't know how old this video is, but I always knew he agreed. I knew for the last, I'd say 5 years, that he agreed with what we taught. But being that his pop died, now his dad wasn't teaching that. His dad was a hustler, man. He was one of them, prosperity pimps. And, this dude here, hey, we'll see. He slimmed down a bit, looking good. So who knows? Maybe some hope for you, Price. Lord willing, you repent all the way. And he talked about the transatlantic slavery. He said that the people in transatlantic slavery were the Hebrew Israelites. Now, he said all of them. Now, there's no we can know for sure that every single person, in the transatlantic slave trade, but we know in large they were the Hebrew Israelites, and it's all in the scriptures. When you go to Deuteronomy 28, starting at 15 on down, it goes into what's called the curses. And they tell you there's some very vivid scriptures in there. So let's read some now. This is Deuteronomy 28:45. And we'll start at 15 first. Maybe you're a new first-time listener or a relatively new believer. Deuteronomy 28:15, it says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, which the word God means power. Power is another word for God. To observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So these curses were to come upon the Israelites. Now, all of them came upon us collectively as a people, but not every Israelite will be under every single curse. But there are some that we all went through, and then there's others that some of us went through. But on the whole, these curses will be upon us if we didn't obey. And the fact that we were expelled from the land shows that we were indeed under the curses that we still are. Deuteronomy 48:45 says, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And they, the curses, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Now, curiously, what does the NLT say, if we can bring it up? These horrors will serve as a sign and warning among you and your descendants forever. Ooh. See that? So these curses, these horrors will serve as a sign, so you would know who the people of the Lord are. Because thou servest not the Lord thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Now, many people argue And they say, you think that slavery means you an Israelite, this, that, and the other. You argue against it, but you have to understand and acknowledge that the transatlantic slave trade was the worst thing that happened to any people. You think something so horrific wouldn't be found in the Bible? Of course it would. You just don't want it to be there, but it is. Verse 48 says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee. So the Lord was the one that did this to us. In hunger and in thirst and in nakedness. Yeah, it's well documented that the slaves were either partially dressed or naked, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So the Most High said we were going to have a yoke of iron on our necks. Now, we always do this, but let's bring it up now. If we say, and we won't put ethnicity or nothing, let's just say yoke of iron. Yoke of iron. Look at that. First picture came up. Slaves on ships. Who are those people? Israelites. Yoke of iron. See that? Yoke of iron. Don't no other people come up with yokes of iron on their necks. Yokes of iron upon thy neck. See it? It's unmistakable. And you people can keep on trying to argue against reality. It does not matter. You're whipped. You're whipped. You through. You can't defeat the word of the Lord. You just can't. It's too much. It's overwhelming. And vocab alone probably gonna shit in his pants when he found out about what Fred Price said. Look at that. That's a different kind of yoke. Poor vocab. I mean, the first 10 pictures that we see are all so-called Negroes. I wonder why ain't no JOOs showing no yokes on their neck. So-called JOOs. Because they're not the people. They're not the people. You can't furnish one picture of they have not furnished one picture of one of them with a damn yoke of iron on their necks. And you never will. And it's just true. You can get mad, but it's true. Now, many of you will say, well, before we read that, this is how we got scattered all over the earth. Let's read 48 again. Deuteronomy 28:48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. See, it's right there. It's very vivid. Now when we read verse 68, let's go right to it. Now first we'll read verse 64. It says, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth, even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. So the scripture tells us plainly that we will be scattered among all people. This is why you don't know where you came from. You'll say, well, we know we came from Israel, of course. But up until now, you never knew where you were from. You thought you was from Africa, but the Africans didn't accept you. You thought you was from Spain, but the Spaniards didn't accept you, and so on and so forth. You were known as what? Just black or African American, and you don't even come from Africa. Or you didn't originate in Africa, should we say. And black is a color. See, so the scriptures tell us that we will be scattered in every nation under heaven, and that is true. Every place you go, you will see us. Our people scattered there. Now verse 68 says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Now when we went into ancient Egypt, when the Israelites went into Egypt before, that was their bondage, that was slavery. This is what the term Egypt here is referring to, a place of bondage. And the Lord will send thee into Egypt again with ships, by way whereof I spake unto thee. So we went into slavery in vessels, boats, ships. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Now Christians, they messed this verse all the way up, trying to disprove it by saying, well, it says you're going to be sold, but then nobody's going to buy you. Well, all you need to do is just look into the blue letter and see what the word means. The word buy at the end means what? Let's go to it. No man shall buy you. The word is quana. you go into it, it says to get, acquire, create, buy, possess. What it means is here. Of the Most High originating, creating, redeeming his people. So no man shall redeem you. It didn't mean nobody's going to purchase you, as in make a purchase as you will buy a slave. Because it told you plainly that ye shall be sold. You can't be sold without being bought. You can easily see that, but we'll give you more proof. Thou shalt see it no more again. That's talking about the homeland. Until the Savior comes back, we ain't never going home. It says, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies, for bondmen and for bondwomen. You're going to be sold for slaves. And no man shall buy you or redeem you, meaning free you, get you out of this condition. How do we know this? Because the Israelites were in fact purchased as slaves. It's right here in the book of Baruch, chapter 4, verse 4. O Israel, happy are we, for things that are pleasing to the Most High are made known unto us. Be of good cheer, my people, the memorial of Israel. What happened to them? Ye were sold unto the nations. You sure? Because the Christian said that it meant that we tried to sell ourselves and there would be no buyer, which is stupid. It says right here, ye were sold to the nations. So the Israelites were sold to the nations. Not for your destruction, but because you moved the Most High to wrath, you were delivered unto the enemy. So you were delivered by being sold to the nations. So if that's the case, Deuteronomy 28:68 must mean what we say that it means. The Israelites were sold for bondmen and bondwomen, and nobody's going to free us. It doesn't mean that we try to sell ourselves, nobody bought us. See, that could be talking about you because you were bought. Well, we just read it in the scriptures that the Israelites were sold. Now what? Come up with another stupid excuse. And then finally, a lot of you are going to say, well, Jesus never talked about Israelites being sold. Yes, he did. Luke 21, verse 22. For these be the days of vengeance. I'm going to start in 21. It says, then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. He was prophesying about what would happen in 70 A.D. Let's start at 20. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. Many Israelites fled. They fled into the interiors of Africa and other places around, around that area. They fled on foot. Those that could escape. The others were slaughtered. Some were sold into slavery. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. What people? The Israelites. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. If you were led away captive, what are you? You're a slave. You're a captive. You're in captivity. And shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So the Israelites themselves will be trodden down of all the people of the world, and their land will be trodden down of the people of the world until their time was up. And when is that time? That's the end of the world. When the Gentiles fall, that is the end. That's when we out of captivity. If you go, Salaki, if we go to other versions of the Bible, the NLT, it says, they will be killed by the sword, or sent away as captives to all the nations of the world. And Jerusalem will be trampled down by the Gentiles until the period of the Gentiles comes to an end. And the period of the Gentiles is chronicled in 4 major empires, which will be the Babylonians, the Persians and the Medes, the Greeks, and then the Roman Empire. And the Roman Empire would carry over. It will be in 2 parts. If you go to Daniel chapter 2, verse 44, you see that listed. Salakia. Let's go up here. You see it's broken down. The blue letter broke it down for you. king's dream, the interpretation. Babylon, the first kingdom. Medo-Persia, then Greece, the second and third kingdoms. Then Rome is the fourth. And then you got a divine kingdom, the kingdom of heaven. So the Israelites would be in captivity, scattered out of their land until the Roman Empire falls. We're in the Roman Empire, the last leg of it right now. See? We're in the toes. We're in the toes of the great that great statue that represented the Israelites. That represented the four major empires of the world. So you see, it's right there, and there's no getting around it. No matter what anybody has to say, you can't get around it, because prophecy is gonna make you, it's gonna make you be wrong. If you say the Israelites are in the Holy Land now, you're wrong. As a matter of fact, when you go to Jeremiah, let's go there now. Jeremiah. It tells you that the yoke is gonna be broken off our necks when we go home. And it's after Jacob's trouble. This is Jeremiah 30:7. It says, "Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will break his yoke," that same yoke of iron, "I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. But they shall serve the Lord their power, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith the Lord, neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee from far." Why does he need to save us from far? Because we were scattered through captivity, through the transatlantic slavery and other means. "I will save thee from far, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid." There you go. It's right there. He says, "For I am with thee, saith the Lord, to save thee, though I make a full end of all nations, whither I have scattered thee. Yet will I not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished." So the Lord got to still gather us out of captivity because we are scattered. Even in the New Testament, it tells you plainly that we're scattered into every nation. And the scattering doesn't end. The scattering is, in fact, the curse. There's no way you can say that the Israelites were scattered, but they wasn't under the curses, because the scattering is a curse. James 1:1. James, a servant of the Most High and of the Lord, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. Let me give you just one definition here real quick. When you go to the word scattered, it's the word diaspora in the Greek. And the definition is this: a scattering, dispersion of Israelites dispersed among foreign nations. See that? And that's who the Gentiles that receive salvation are. Dispersion. An example, especially and concretely, the converted Israelite resident in Gentile countries which are scattered abroad. How did they get scattered? Transatlantic slave trade. Why did they get scattered? Disobedience. When will they stop being scattered? When the Lord comes back. So Fred Price Jr. was right for agreeing with the Hebrew Israelites and the transatlantic slavery, pointing to us. Hope you learned something. Lord willing, it was edifying. All praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Shalom.